Time running out. Clarkson, can they make it happen? McGrath in, the touch goes, and there's the bar!
Alistair Johnston simply must score to keep Celtic's treble dream alive. It's Aberdeen's cup! Jimmy Thelin has won the Scottish Cup for Aberdeen. It is quite sensational.
Hello and welcome along to a very special episode of the ABZ Football Podcast. I'm Gary Scott. Joining me as always this afternoon is the one, the only Gavin J. Baxter. Gav, how are you?
I am very well, thank you, and I am very excited for this one.
Absolutely, because joining us, it's no surprise because he's there. You can see him on the screen. We can't do like a hidden unveiling or anything like that, unfortunately, but he's here. It is the one and only Sivert Heltne Nilsen. Sivert, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. You've just finished up training with Haugesund. Before we get started, how's things?
Things are good, thank you.
Good. And for those of us who are not in on the joke, this is third time lucky for us here. We've tried to do this twice now and it's not quite worked out. So fingers crossed, this will work out. I mean, before we get started, really, Sivert, just talking more about your kind of career and how things were at Aberdeen and everything. How are you kind of settling back into life in Norway and back at life at Haugesund?
Yeah, it's been a promising start. Things worked out well with football and with life in general. So family's set up. We got a new house and car and nursery, and it's a lot of new things. It's been hectic, but it's been good. Yeah.
And ultimately, right, that's what it's all about, right? Is getting family and everything all sorted out and making sure everyone's happy with their life and everything. And we were just talking before we started recording about it's been a good start so far for Haugesund this season. 4 wins, 1 defeat from the opening 5 games of the season. Obviously, I think the big aim for Haugesund, relegated last year from the Elite Syrian, the big aim is clearly to get back to the top division this year.
Yeah, that's true. We want to get back, but we don't know when. We are in a rebuilding phase now, so quite young local players, where some more older players like me have came in late in the transfer window. So I think things look very promising. It's a good culture in the club, which I really like.
Good stuff. Let's before we come on to talk more about your time in Aberdeen and everything, let's just have a little bit more of a dive into your kind of life and times in football before you moved to Scotland. Obviously, born in Bergen. Just tell us a little bit about some of your kind of earliest memories about playing football, and what kind of players did you admire or use as inspiration for your own kind of playing style as you were starting to find your way in the game?
Yeah. My early age, I actually have I think I wrote this in the Matchday magazine, where I have this moment playing in the garden with my neighborhood friends, with my father sitting on the balcony being a referee. It's like a moment of just pure joy, and I think it was like falling in love with football in the garden in front of our house. And that feeling have been with me all the way. Football has been like, for me, going into a bubble where it's just about winning, actually. But also to play together in a team, it's been a very big passion for me. And in that garden, I pretended to be Alan Shearer, scoring goals with my hand up, and I remember my father was he was the referee, but he never blow any free kicks. I think maybe that's a little bit have also affected me in one way. So, but it's I've been very lucky to have this as a job for many years, and will have it for a job for 3 more years. It's just a big dream.
You touched on there about Alan Shearer as the inspiration, and it just twigged for me there the moment you scored against Livingston early this season for Aberdeen. You did wheel away with the one-handed celebration. It was very Shearer-esque. Was that a deliberate homage to the Geordie?
Yeah, I think so. And I also many days I came in with Alan Shearer shirt on, and the guys were laughing about me. So yeah, I also like that Kevin Nisbet is doing the same celebration. So yeah, Alan Shearer he's a big one.
Absolutely, he transpires across a number of the players there. You touched on it a minute ago, Steve. Obviously, that your father Lars Arne is a very well renowned individual within Norwegian football. You're a kind of second generation talent, we'll put it that way. You'd go on to play for your father both at Hood and at Brann Bergen. What's that like? That dynamic of playing underneath your father. What's that like?
No, it's. I think it can be very demanding because one way your father is like putting your friends on the bench. Could be challenging sometimes. I think we were quite lucky. We had positive results when we worked together in Hud. We went up from second division to first championship in Norway, and then we won the cup from that period as well. So it was like a positive result. Even in Brann, when we worked together, we said to ourselves, "It's really stupid what we are doing now. I'm moving to you." And we know in Brann, it's like a similar club to Aberdeen, you can say, in many ways, where as soon as things goes a little bit the wrong direction, they would for sure point fingers at me as a player, since I'm his son, and him as not. It would be a big thing, but it never became a big thing. I felt, could be wrong, but I think we went up from championship to the top division and had good results, medals almost every year with him. So we worked good together, and we had the results on our side, and that made it easier, I think. So I think we used the positive things around me knowing how he wanted to play, and him knowing my strengths and weaknesses, so he could almost build a team a little bit how I could do good. And he could get the best out of me because he knows me so well. So I think that worked good, but I think I'm also a little bit damaged by it in one way. Stressed. I was so stressed about doing mistakes. I'm a little bit more laid back now, but I remember I was stressed because if we lose, he could lose his job as well. So yeah, it was but yeah. That was it was a good time to look back at.
I mean, at this point, Sivert, we'll focus on the positives when it comes to Hood, especially. Like you say, you progressed from the second division into the first division in Norway, and you've just mentioned it, you're part of a real fairy tale story in 2020, in 2012, when Hood beat Tromsø in the Norwegian Cup final, becoming the first second-year side to win that trophy in 15 years. So from an early age, winning cups as an underdog has been part of your story.
Yeah, I think I don't know if it's. I think I can't believe anyone else have won the cup in Norway 2 times from a championship club, because Brann was also a championship club when we won it in 2022. So it happened 2 times actually, but Brann is obviously a totally different club than Hud. But Hud it was a crazy thing. I still can't believe we did that, because we were young local players who played together on the under-19 team. And the thing that happened there, we just moved that team up to the senior team with some older players. But the base of the team, or I don't know if it's base, but a lot of the players came from that under-19 team. And we got the time to play the same way and connect we were connected in a very strong way, because I actually had 3 relatives on that team and my father as a coach. So so that's a crazy story.
a lot of parallels with a number of great teams of the past there. You play 129 games, scoring 8 goals across 5 seasons before you transfer to Vålerenga in January 2014, making the step up to the Eliteserien, formerly known as the Tippeligaen, I found out in doing research for this interview.
Yeah.
You spend 18 months in Oslo with Vålerenga. Now, Sivert, I don't know if you remember, but we briefly spoke at the most recent sponsors dinner, myself and Graham, with you. And we talked about my partner being from Oslo, and her family team is Vålerenga.
Yeah, I remember now. Yeah.
I think you mentioned when you played there, you actually played at the Ullevål because Vålerenga were in the process of moving stadium. The Ullevål, of course, being the national stadium of Norway, the scene of one of Scotland's most recent great results. And I just think this is a great story. Can you tell us your own personal experience of that day and what you were up to?
Yeah, I was getting married. When that game was played, I remember all my guests were checking their phones because the game was on. And we saw like Norway was leading 1-0, and or was it? Yeah, it was 1-0, huh? And
1-0,
then and then it ended 2-1 after Stuart Armstrong came on. So
correct, yes.
So yeah, it was a big shock because but I didn't have that game in focus. I have to be honest. It wasn't affecting the day, but it was. My friends were joking with me that they actually had it set up that the national team manager was going to call me and say that I was in the squad just to test what I would do, you know. And I was like, yeah. You can always have your wedding another day, but you cannot get called up, you know. No. So it was like, that was a little bit funny, but it wasn't realistic actually.
You know, a result decided by ex-Aberdeen midfielder Kenny McLean. A result that meant that my partner's nephew did not speak to me for roughly 7 hours after the game.
Yeah, it was a tough one for Norway. That was for sure.
Was Stuart taking all the credit for it? Is he?
No, I just gave him it because I saw he came on, but he wouldn't take the credit now. But,
I think from memory, Sol back in taking Erling Haaland off when he did maybe had more of an impact than Stuart. With all respect to our midfielder player.
Yeah, absolutely. No, but no, I can also remember some centre back with cramp or something strange in that game. I don't know. So yeah, but no excuses. We are both in the World Cup now, and haven't happened since '98. So
98, exactly. Yeah. I thought it was going to be fate. I talked about it with a lot of my colleagues in Norway. I thought it was fate we would draw each other in the group stage. I thought that's just what's going to happen, right? It'll be a repeat of '98. We'll get Norway, Morocco, and it'll be Brazil, and they'll just have the same group again. That's what we'll do.
Your group is very close,
Yeah, we're not too far away. No. Going back to your own career, Steve. I mean, you July 2015, I think it is. You make the move back to Brann, and you work together there to achieve promotion back to the Eliteserien. Once again, kind of defy the odds, losing only one game at home all season. That first season back up in the top flight, finishing runners up to Rosenborg. I mean, tell us a bit about that season. What allowed Brann, do you think, to go from being again a newly promoted side, albeit one of the bigger teams in Norway, right? Historically, have always been quite a big side. To go to being, running Rosenborg very, very close to winning the league.
Yeah, the thing that happened there, we were really poor the first 6 months. I would say it's not really poor, but after my father took over as a manager, he put things back to basic. We were playing quite how to say it in English, like easy football. We were playing low block counter attacks. We had some really good defenders. Actually, we had 2 good center backs and a goalkeeper who was like the base of the team. We almost didn't let goals in. So, and we scored a lot of set pieces. So that was the way. And as we won games, we got more confidence, and then we just became a strong team. Who, by playing a lot together. So we also in that period got we found a starting 11 who grew into something that became quite good and solid. Not that we were playing fantastic football, but we were solid, and that gave us a quite surprisingly second place the first year in Eliteserien. Yeah. So yeah, that was the start. Yeah.
And then after what, like 3 seasons, I think, with Brann, that's when you make the move to Denmark, went to AC Horsens. Now, this is described online as being a relatively small sum under controversial circumstances. What does that mean?
No, it was. I think it was a big shock for a lot of people. I was like in discussions with Brann. I came to Brann. I think it was like from Vålerenga, who was one of the top 5 teams the year before. No, not the year before, but when I came, it was like a case. I came on. The thing was, the dream was to play for Brann, so it was a no-brainer to go to Brann. That was always my dream. So when I had a chance, I was like, yes, I'm going. But I've always been the type of guy, when I've been at one place too long, I need a change. You understand? Yeah. And it was also, everything was going good, but I was like, also, I'm a little bit of an explorer. So you can see things are going in the same direction also later, where I had 3 years in Brann, but then I was also feeling, I need something new maybe. So I think that was the case, actually. And then, I could have stayed, but I think the time for me was to go and explore a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, you signed a 5-year contract with the Danish side, but in August 2019, you make the move across Scandinavia, this time to Sweden, to join up with Jimmy Thelin at Elfsborg. And this is where things get interesting as an Aberdeen fan. You spent just under 18 months with Jimmy. Tell us a bit about Jimmy Thelin, the human being, and the manager at Elfsborg.
No, it was, I remember we had a crazy deadline day. I came from Denmark. I was supposed to go to a FC Copenhagen game. And then I was told to just go to the train station and take the train to Gothenburg, a famous city for Aberdeen as well. And then I came into an apartment from the train station. I had to run into one very small apartment, I remember. There was the director of Elfsborg, Jimmy, and the doctor and the sports director in that very, very small apartment. You can say I could say 15 square meters. I had to take the medicine test in a bed. And I remember it was something in my contract I wasn't happy with. So it was like so close to just, it was crazy. But we ended up signing just seconds before the deadline day. And after that, Jimmy was a little bit under pressure. I remember the first period I came, but we did quite well the last end of the season from the summer when I came. I don't think it was because of me, but I got a lot of credit for it. So it was like
you can say it's because of you.
It wasn't because of me, really. Things were going quite good, but I felt like I came into a team where it was a fit, and it was like a space for me to be myself and use my strong sides. So it was like a very good fit. I felt it right away. They liked the way I was, and we could like build on that. Jimmy had like a long-term plan where he was the same guy as I know him now. He was very stable and calm, and he was just like trusting the process, even though he was under pressure. I remember he was very calm, and things worked out very well. And the club was building, and they were selling players every window for a lot of money. So I remember Elfsborg was a very good place to come for me to develop, and also for other younger players to just develop in a stable base.
Yeah, I mean, just mentioned it there. I mean, in your one full season at Elfsborg, the 2020 Allsvenskan season, you finished in second place behind Malmo, finishing above the defending champions, Djurgårdens. Given that the year prior, Elfsborg had finished 8th in the league, as an outsider looking in, you wouldn't necessarily expect Elfsborg to achieve what you did. What was it about that team, and I guess Jimmy Thelin in particular, that allowed you to achieve those results and that league place finish?
No, I think we just. I remember it was in the Corona season. I remember as soon as Corona came, he used the Corona situation almost like opportunity. I would
Sounds like
say.
quite a crazy season because I think was it like between June and November,
Yeah, it
the
was.
entirety of the season.
Yeah, and Sweden was actually one of the countries that didn't close it down. So it was a little bit strange to be there in that period. But I remember we trained very hard in that period, and we trained like we wanted to make the training weeks like we played 2 games in 1 week. So we were ready when the season started to play a lot of games because we were expecting it to become crazy, and so we did. And I remember we like kept on going from what we were building the year before, and a lot of young, hungry players as well. So it was a good setup in Elfsborg, and the culture. I was like, things were very in. I don't know. It was organized in a way where it was easy to perform and focus on the right things, and that was very enjoyable.
Yeah, I did notice it was nicknamed the Corona Allsvenskan season 2020 there. Could you see why, even at this stage, Jimmy Thelin was already attracting interest from clubs across the continent? And did you see him as someone who would have the drive to make the move, like the right move when the time was right to, another country, for example?
Yeah, I think already then I was like, yeah, I was almost like for sure that he was gonna take the next step at one point. So that was what I was expecting, because I think he was a little bit ahead of many managers in Sweden and Scandinavia in general. He was working extremely hard, and so I think he still have that in his style now.
It was a kind of short-lived spell for you in Belgium, I think, as I recall, Steve. And then you kind of made the move back to Brann again in August 2021. Played for another 3 years. You kind of touched on it. Maybe it's the 3-year period is the bit that makes you want to have to think about moving on. Played a total of 198 games, I think, over the 2 spells, 23 goals. But then in July 2024, the news comes, and it happened very, very quickly, as I recall, that you were going to make the move from Bergen to Scotland to sign up at Aberdeen to rejoin with Jimmy. I mean, at club captain at Brann, you were obviously very well thought of. Did Jimmy have to convince you much to think about making that move to Aberdeen?
Yeah, not much, but I for sure needed to feel that I was important in a project where we could think a little bit long term, and to leave everything in Brann, where I had a good position, as you said. It was, of course, something I had to know that I don't think I would do the move if not it was for Jimmy, because it was like a little bit safety. He was there, and I know what he was standing for, and he also knew me as a player and person. So it was like that was for sure a big thing for me to make the choice, I think.
I think from memory, the move looked like it happened very, very quickly. Like from our side, was it the same for you? Was it something that kind of came out of nowhere, or was it something that had been talked about a little bit for a little while between you and Jimmy?
No, I knew that it could be an option for them, because it was like, but when it happened, it was like I was like, I had some signals that they were thinking about me, but when it happened, it went very quickly with the club as well, and the timing was maybe also good for Brann, because I got a red card after 10 minutes against Bodø. That was my last game in Brann, and then it was like maybe easier for Brann to just I think he need to go. But
he's going to be suspended for a few games anyway. It's fine.
Yeah, that was like not the finish I wanted, but it was yeah, that was. Yeah, it was also like to have the opportunity to play in Scotland was also something I really wanted, and Aberdeen was. For me. It's also to come in a new project. What Jimmy was into, he was like starting a new project, and that was also exciting.
How much about Aberdeen were you kind of aware about before the contact was made with Jimmy and that? Like, were you aware of Aberdeen? Was it a club that kind of was on your radar, or was it something that was just like, this is completely brand new, let's just give it a shot?
Before they hired Jimmy, Aberdeen was not on my radar at all, so I didn't know
Yeah.
much about Aberdeen, to be honest.
You sign on the 11th of July, and you're straight into business 2 days later, making your debut as our campaign got underway at Palmerston Park against Queen of the South in the League Cup group stage. A comfortable 3-win for the Dons. You've just mentioned you didn't know much about Aberdeen. Did you know much about Scottish football? And even at this early stage, what differences did you notice about the style of the game here as compared to what you'd experienced elsewhere?
Yeah, no, I didn't. Scottish football, I have seen some games, but didn't know a lot. You feel it straight that when you go from Norway, where you know every player, you know every strength of every player, it's a big advantage when you play. So you almost have to educate yourself a lot, and sometimes you don't have the time to educate yourself enough. But my feeling was that it was very physical, very direct, even more than I was thinking. I think, like, even for us, who I remember that first game, I was like very frustrated actually because I was thinking we're gonna control this game, but we were not controlling anything. We were just going straight forward and yeah, a little bit hope that the quality would give us a win, and it did. I remember Shinny had a great goal in that game.
Yeah.
Jamie Esther scored on a header, and yeah. But yeah, a little bit more hectic football than I was used to. But I came from a team that was very put together, and the relations were very good in Brann. We played together for many years, as you mentioned 3 years. So it was like now I was into a new team, and I felt it. Even though the result went very, very well.
I mean, having watched a bit of Norwegian football, would you agree it's also much, much faster in Scottish football, the pace of the game?
Yeah, I can just like seeing the numbers I had in Brann compared to physical numbers. My numbers was much higher in Brann compared to Aberdeen. Just from week, from going from Brann against Bodø to Aberdeen, even in the league games, my numbers were very different. I think it was a lot of like the set pieces are like you stop on a free kick on the midfield and you move the whole team up,
Yeah.
But in Norway, it's not that normal to do that. Even from the throw-ins, they don't. It's not all teams that put the long throw-in, so it's like take the tempo a little bit down. So I remember the scouting team was like, "Why is your number so much lower now than compared to when we scouted you?" You understand?
Yeah.
But I think that's a natural reason behind. Because now my numbers are up on the same as it was, but that's probably Norwegian football a little bit, yeah. So it's different football for sure.
Yes, certainly. It's very well documented. Aberdeen get off to an incredible start under Jimmy Thelin, winning all 4 of our League Cup group games. We only conceded 1 goal in the process, and the league form follows suit. We win our first 7 games in the league. Now, when Jimmy Thelin came in, there was a lot of talk about the 3-year project, and it was going to take a lot of time to put things in place. We're expecting a slow build. Especially, we always finished 7th in the league the year prior. There was going to be a massive rebuild. This felt like a remarkable turnaround in such a short space of time. Were these results even surprising to you as the players, or was there that belief in the dressing that you could go ahead and compete at the top end of the table?
To be honest, I didn't have like a proper good feeling about many of those games. It was a little bit bittersweet. I was relieved that we won the game, but I always felt like we were not very good. But it was like a lot of games where we won in the end, and I think also it cost us a lot of energy to win those games. That you can see later in the season that we were maybe a little bit empty. But maybe it went a little bit too fast, and expectations were a little bit almost unfair if you look back. I think the first 7-8 games we were scoring a little bit more points than we maybe deserved.
Yeah, I think all the data would indicate we were overperforming dramatically. And I think the one game that encapsulates that perfectly for me would be Ross County away. When a bit of a scrappy game, they get a late penalty. Dimitar Mitov makes the most incredible penalty kick save. And then Shaden Morris comes on, sets up Kevin Nisbet for what I think was his first goal for Aberdeen, sends the fans into delirium. At the time, you're just riding that wave as a supporter. But I think what you say is completely fair, that looking back now, not necessarily the best points, just winning those crucial moments.
But we were also stable, and we had a stable. I think we didn't change too many players. The back four and the back, I think maybe the back six with me and Shinny on the midfield, and then the back four with Nicky, Ruby, Gavin, and Mackenzie, and Dimi in the goal was like always that same. So it was like we still created some stability and some trust in that, even though it didn't look amazing. And Papa was like also on fire, scoring on every ball coming into the box. So we had some stability in it, but we got very hurt when we got some injuries in that period in November, December, I think.
Yeah, that's fair.
Not one, but there was maybe 2 injuries, and then we are suddenly a little different team, and then the relations start to get a little bit too new, or too many new things.
That's absolutely fair. I mean, you've just mentioned a couple of players' names there. Who in particular impressed you in that dressing room in training and in both in matches?
The first one was Bojan Miowski. I had some trainings before he left, and I felt straight away he had some really good qualities, movements, a little bit like cheeky, Lauer, he could find openings in very small spaces, and that his timing was really good. Who else? Jamie McGrath was technically one of the best players I played with. He didn't lose a touch. Like technically, you could shoot the ball at him and it was just glued to him in some way. So he was a fascinating player. Many players. I really enjoyed playing with them against in training.
As Gav says, like the league form's like really good to start with, and we've kind of touched on perhaps we're maybe riding a bit of a wave, and perhaps not performances are maybe not quite there, but we're finding ways to win games. We make our way into the League Cup semi-final. Perhaps the moment that I think made the support and the whole city perhaps think that we could be on the cusp of doing something quite special came in the performance against Rangers at Pittodrie at the end of October. We had a really, really good first half performance. We maybe dropped off a little bit second half. We get a late Shaden Morris winner. Obviously, you'll be well aware that there's that extreme rivalry between Aberdeen and Rangers. The atmosphere in the stadium that night was incredible. Like, how did that translate, and how did that kind of like compare to other experiences you've had elsewhere in your career?
Yeah, I think I never had a feeling from winning a league game at home like that in the middle of the season, and then you felt that you had won the league because that was the feeling after that game. It was like we won a trophy, and that was something I never experienced, I think. So that was maybe I don't know. It was maybe a little bit too much. if you look back, maybe we should have like kept a little bit more steady at that moment, not to just like, wow, we beat them, and we were not thinking the next, because I think we had a game 3-4 days after, but we were totally drained from that game. So yeah, it was a funny experience, and Pittodrie was it was maybe the best experience on Pittodrie for sure.
Yeah.
Speaking of the game, 3-4 days later, it's that humbling 6-0 defeat at Hampden against Celtic in the League Cup semi-final. Moving on from that swiftly, we recovered to beat Dundee 4-1 at Pittodrie. A week later, we moved to the top of the Scottish Premiership, and the fans are daring to dream. And then this is where it all starts to, if we're being frank, fall apart. I mean, we lost in Paisley against St Mirren by 2-1 on the 23rd of November, and we would not win another league game until the 15th of February. Looking back now as a senior member of the team, a trusted confidant of the manager, how do you come to terms with what happened? Do you think it's just like what you said there, like maybe just it was too much too soon?
Yeah, it's very hard to say. And I think it's not just one thing, but you could feel that the energy was a little bit gone. And also, I think we played okay matches, but it was just energy was not there, as I said, and they scored on every chance. I remember one game against Motherwell. I think it was the game Ruby got the red card.
Yeah,
but it was. Maybe it was not that game, but it was. They just came into the box one time, and then they scored from nothing, and that was the feeling in a lot of games. But it also happened with when we had some injuries and we had to make changes, and the players who maybe didn't play a lot needed maybe a little bit time to get into the rhythm and stuff like that. So I think it was maybe. A little bit too many changes at one time. If we could have like changed 1-1 maybe earlier to like not let the players go out for a long time, because we had some very strange injuries. I think we had 3 shoulder injuries with Jamie, Clarkey, who else? Nicky, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
so it was a lot, and I also felt it myself from coming from a season in Norway, half a season, and then straight into a lot of games. I remember I felt in that period I was like a zombie, and I think it was like you couldn't like say I'm tired because we are struggling so hard. You have to stick in. You have to keep fighting, and. But I myself as well for sure felt that I didn't have the energy to help the team as I wanted, and that was the start of like a tough period for sure.
Yeah, and there was anyway, sorry, anyway.
I was going to say, I did note that you did a number of interviews since you've left Aberdeen, saying that by Christmas of that season you were running on empty. Was that a feeling shared across the dressing room, and that's part of why we just couldn't get any draws or wins?
I don't think we talked about it because you don't want to mention it when you're in it, you know. It's not. I didn't mention it to anyone that I felt tired, but I did. I did feel it, and I was like, you were like, yeah. I don't want. If you say it, you almost like put it in, and then it's easier for other to feel it as well, you know. So you don't want to. At least that's what how I'm thinking.
Yeah,
maybe it's wrong. I should maybe just said I need a break, but that's not how I'm working. I'm always trying to stay strong in a way. So yeah,
it's that period of the season though, isn't it, where just everything starts to kind of go wrong. Like just nothing is going right at all. I remember the game at Motherwell you just touched on a minute ago there, where I think we actually started that game quite well from memory.
Yeah,
and then
we did.
There's a freak goal, Norway. There's a freak goal that Motherwell score. Ruby gets kind of sucked in to an incident and reacts in a way that we probably shouldn't do quite quickly after that, as I recall. second half, you come out. It's you and Dante Polvara, I think, are the centre half pairing for the second half at Fir Park. I think it's the first time Dante's ever had to play centre half. What kind of experience was that coming into that situation there? You're obviously the experienced head in the partnership. You having to kind of try and talk Dante through that situation, but it's just that situations where just nothing's going right at any point here, isn't it?
Yeah. No, it was actually very fun to play with Dante as a centre back because midfielders are thinking a little bit different when they play a centre back. So it was actually enjoyable. I think actually we played a quite good half with the 10 men.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was feeling it was actually possible to come out with something, but in that period nothing went right. So, but yeah, it was like when results not coming at all, you're like starting to maybe doubt what we are doing and stuff like that, So it's hard to stay in it, and you want to find the solutions and the mistakes, and it's just get into a very bad pattern, and it was hard to get out. I remember very good the game where it turned a little bit again with Dundee FC away, where we won the first game, wasn't it? With the Tobers and Mats coming into the team. That was a very good thing because I felt straight away they came in with energy, and they came in with a lot of quality as well. So I felt I felt really strong when they came in. Actually, I remember that very well. They were, and they still are top players.
Yeah, Christer's also had a really tough time with injury. I don't know we've really seen the best of Christer's Tober so far. And then talk about injuries, we get to March and you end up suffering this kind of like freak eye injury in training as well. I mean, talk about that, your recovery, and just for you, again, you're a senior player in the squad. How frustrating was it for you then not to be able to kind of contribute at that point when the team is struggling?
Yeah, I think actually it was a very bad time because I felt we actually started to find a way out.
Yeah,
and I felt I was a central part of that. I felt I had energy, and we started to be with an offensive mindset again from that Dundee game where we pushed the team a little bit higher and wasn't thinking too much about the consequences. So I liked that. So I felt it was really bad that it happened at that time. But that's football. I've been lucky before in my career. I've had not many injuries. So yeah. Strange one. We was out for 4 or 5 months with that injury. So yeah.
I mean, we see out the league season. It's strangely disappointing, even though at the beginning we would have taken 5th place. But given the way we were dreaming in November, disappointed we miss out on 3rd. We then miss out on 4th on the final day at Tannadice.
Yeah.
But on May 24th, it's the big game of the season. It's the Scottish Cup final with Celtic at Hampden. You were in and about the squad, but not able to take part on the day. That said, though, tell us about your experiences of the preparation and what made Jimmy Thelin such a good manager for this kind of occasion. Like, we spoke with Dante Polvara very recently, and he mentioned the psychology, I think, of Jimmy insisting that, no one was to book their holidays for the Sunday because the Sunday's when the parade's going to be. So if you want to go on holiday, you go on Monday. It's that kind of like small details that he was good at.
Yeah, probably. Like I was a little bit on the outside, I remember, but I followed the trainings very closely because we were like thinking about changing the formation, and we trained on when we decided early in the week we go for a 5-3-2. I remember everybody was like watching the trainings very close. I was even standing up with Mark, the analyst, just to see how the player moved, and it was like, so I felt like I was in it, but from a different perspective than maybe I wanted. So I think Jimmy made like a good choice with the formation because I think we needed something new to believe in. And I think you've seen the games we played Celtic after as well with the back five. It's taken away their strength a little bit. So I think he did that very well, and he all the way through the season, he was always saying that we were going to win a trophy. So it wasn't just the last weeks. It was from day one. He was not talking about winning trophies. So that was like a little bit law of attraction, I think. So yeah, we believed it, and Jimmy was the mastermind behind it. So it was amazing to see him with lifting the trophy and doing the parade, and yeah, it was just so good to see. Actually,
I was going to say, talk to us a little bit about those kind of, as you say, you were a little bit on the outside of it because of the injury and everything. So, but just your recollections of the game itself, and I guess probably more importantly, those kind of celebrations afterwards, both at Hampden, on the bus home, and the day after. The day after was a magical day for the city when you really get to see just the extent of the kind of support across the city on the open top bus tour.
Yeah, no, on the match, I was thinking it was. Things worked quite good. We were defending the areas. They couldn't get to too many chances. And as the game went, we were getting stronger. I think they were getting weaker. So it was like in the extra time, I remember I was thinking it's more likely that we're going to score than they're going to score. So that was quite amazing, actually. And I also have to say the supporters, I've never seen supporters back their team in a better way live, because every throw-in was a goal, and it must have been amazing. It was amazing to watch. I actually got like how to say, what's the word?
Goosebumps.
Yeah, goosebumps, but also like
emotional.
Yeah, because I think from the stand I was like, wow, it was just unbelievable, because the expectations were maybe quite low, So even to get a throw in on their half was like, way, and that was, I think that lifted the spirit a lot. So maybe we should try that on Pitodri as well, just to see. Maybe it could work. But yeah, the parade and stuff like that, I don't know. I don't remember much. I've seen videos of myself. I remember something about in the city that people were like the night after we won, people were just running around with Aberdeen shirts all around the city and hugging each other. It was just a dream, So it was just scenes where you just didn't think you were gonna experience. But yeah, I was. It's something I will never forget. Even though I didn't play, it was magical.
Yeah, it was a remarkable kind of 48 hours to just be connected with the football club in any way, shape, or form. And we talk about it a lot with guys who are not from Aberdeen, who are maybe not even from Scotland. We've talked about a lot of Aberdeen players from many years ago. They've always said the same thing, that when you get that open top bus tour down Union Street and you just can see the full scale of the potential for the football club, right? If you could harness that on a weekly basis, it would be incredibly powerful. But yeah, an incredible weekend. Just one that will live long in the memory of anyone that was there.
Yeah, I mean, even though you weren't involved on the day, I mean, I remember the likes of also Jamie McGrath missed out, Vinny Bajowin, Gab Malloy was injured, but everyone taking part in the celebrations after the fact. And Sivert, you've even got a cameo appearance when Davy Cormack gets in the changing room to lift the Scottish Cup in his best Willie Miller pose. Just, unbelievable stuff. Regrettably, we then have to move on and briefly touch on this season. I mean, you're hoping that's a catalyst to further success. Just briefly talking about this season. In your opinion, like, how have we not built on that? And why do you think it is that ultimately Jimmy Thelin would part ways with the club in January of this year?
No, I think we were like, I don't know if I don't know how the situation was with all the players, but it was like, felt like we rebuilt a little bit again during the summer, with a lot of players in and out. So we had to do the whole thing a little bit all over again with building a team again and get into the ways we wanted to play again. And yeah, I think the changes made it from the inside. It was quite natural that we were gonna struggle a little bit in the start to get everyone into the same ideas and stuff like that. But I think the expectation from winning the cup was a little bit higher from the outside. And also maybe I expected the new signings to go straight in to perform at their best. It was in my how I experienced it. It's always been hard to perform straight away, and I think the summer was a little bit example of that for us as well. Yeah,
I mean, Steve, you were like really well regarded at Aberdeen with like everybody that we've spoken to who was around the football club. Like everybody talks very highly of you. Who worked at Cormac Park or who worked at Pittodrie. Really well respected part of the first team squad. Obviously Jimmy leaves. Peter leaving comes in. Things don't really kind of turn around in the way I think anyone was hoping for. Stephen Robinson obviously joined the club not that long ago. I mean, you won't have had too much time with Stephen, I guess, because obviously you departed the Haugesund pretty quickly. But any first impressions for you on Stephen Robinson? And do you feel he'll be well equipped, do you think, to hopefully take the club forward as we move?
Yeah, I had a very positive impression of Stephen. He came in with a lot of energy and motivation. Even from the first meeting he came in and with a clear idea and a clear way to play. I think he touched on some things that we really needed. So as I mentioned before, I don't expect the team to play fantastic already this season, but I think if he can work with the same players over time, I'm for sure he's gonna build a team that's gonna take a lot of points. But then again, it's stability and continuity. It's like the key for anyone. If you see the top teams in any league or country, it's stability and working together for a period of time. That's the key. At least that's my opinion. We have some examples in Bodø and Viking back here in Norway. You can see it's local players who played together since they were children. So and now they lifted it into the senior team and they are performing on a level that it's almost the top teams in Europe can't compete with. So it's like that's the key for Aberdeen, and hopefully Stephen will get the time and get the players who can stay there over time. So yeah, my wife is looking at me. She wants me to go and get the kids in nursery now.
No worries. With 2 minutes, we promise we're nearly there.
No worries. Yeah, I have some time. But yeah, I can have that. Yeah, no.
I think we've got two questions left.
Yeah, that's fine. I have some time. I can still talk for 5 more minutes. That's no.
Okay. let's just briefly talk about 27th of March. We get the announcement on Aberdeen FC's website. You're making the move back to Haugesund. If we're being honest, when Jimmy Thelin left the club, I think we all thought it might not be too long before you followed suit, just because of the connection you two had. How did that move to Haugesund come back? And I mean, what does it mean for your long-term future? You just mentioned a 3-year contract that's been reported with possibly a view to then a coaching role after that. Is that correct?
Yeah, if it fits for both sides, but it's not what I'm focusing on in my career at all right now. It's football, all in for football and playing. I don't know if I'm crazy or not, but I still think I can be. I can reach my best period as a player. That's actually my attitude or my thinking when I go to training. I think my body feels good and I don't have any pains, and I still believe that. So Haugesund came in and wanted me to be like an important player. I felt like my role in Aberdeen, maybe after Jimmy, even with Jimmy in the last part, it was harder for me to maybe find that important role. But that was also natural because I was injured for a long time, so I knew it would take some time. So maybe it's just now actually where I feel like I'm back to where I was, because it takes actually quite a long time to get back when you're out of football for that long. So I knew when Jimmy left, I really need to prove myself in maybe a different way, since he knew me as a person and player. So I took it as a challenge. I said it to Peter as well, Leven, when he came in as manager, that I'm an underdog now, and I'm expected. Accept that, and I know that that's when I'm the best version of myself, when I'm an underdog and have to fight for every minute. So I actually think it was a lot of learning in that period as well for me. So yeah, I think I saw quite early that Steven was also not maybe seeing me as a midfielder, or like you understand, it was like he was maybe seeing me as maybe a backup center back, and then I was like, maybe I should not take this fight when I have an option, to who could be to fight, to find what battles you should fight. So I took the decision and told Steven that I wanted to go back to Norway and play an important role, because that was how Haugesund saw me, as an important player, and he was really, really good to me about it, and very respectful. I'm very thankful for the way Steven handled that situation. So yeah,
good.
Gary,
you're gonna leave it with me. Yeah, okay. We'll leave it. We've got one more question, and Sivert, some words that you have to go and pick up your children. That is, of course, the most important. We'll wrap up. This is the last question we always ask our guests on the show. So you left Aberdeen, 56 appearances, 2 goals in your nearly 2 years spell here in Aberdeen. Last question for you, Sivert Heltne Nilsen. What does Aberdeen Football Club mean to you?
Aberdeen Football Club means to me, I think I would say Aberdeen is a place and a club where I will take with me for the rest of my life. My youngest son is born in Aberdeen, and all the memories and the people, I will also, for me and my family, it's been an amazing adventure, or how to say, it's been almost 2 years of our life where we're gonna look back with joy, and meeting a lot of amazing people, especially in West Hill, where we lived. We made friends who we still stay in contact with, so we will get visits from Aberdeen in the summer, I think. So it's both the city and the club will mean a lot to me in the future. And it was, even though the results wasn't always good, I only have a positive feeling about Aberdeen and everything that happened there. It's no like bad things, even though you get some comments sometimes where it's not the nicest, of course, but the positive things and the people will stick with me.
Excellent. Lovely stuff. Listen, we'll wrap things up there. Sivert, thank you so much for taking the time to join us on the ABZ Football Podcast. We really, really appreciate it. All the very best for the rest of the season with Haugesund this year. Sivert Heltne Nilsen, stand free.
Stand free.